Imagine this. One day you wake up and everything you worked for, everything you thought defined your life, is gone. The storm takes your ship, your fortune, your future. What would you do? Collapse in despair? Rage against fate? Or would you find something unshakable within you? This is not a story of fantasy. This was the life of Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, who lost his wealth but gained a philosophy that made him undefeatable. Today, we may not lose ships at sea, but we face storms of a different kind. Layoffs, heartbreaks, failures, the constant pressure of not being enough. Anxiety, chaos, and fear creep into our lives like waves against fragile walls. If you have ever felt crushed under the weight of life, you are not alone. And yet, Stoicism offers us a compass, a way to stand firm when everything else collapses. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. It is about mastering them. It teaches us the difference between what we can control and what we cannot, so that even when life strips us bare, we remain strong. In this video, you will discover 7 timeless lessons that will equip you to face any storm. Lessons that guided emperors, slaves, and revolutionaries, and can now guide you. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand Stoicism, you will feel it breathing through your decisions, your struggles, your victories. You will see that no matter how violent the storm, you can become undefeatable. Welcome to Stoic Miracles. So let us begin. 7 Stoic principles that can turn adversity into strength, fear into courage, and chaos into clarity. The first and most essential teaching of Stoicism is known as the dichotomy of control. It is the dividing line between what belongs to us and what is not, between what we can shape with our actions and what will always remain beyond our reach. A storm, a rejection, the rise and fall of fortune, these are not ours to command. But our choices, our responses, the meaning we assign, those remain eternally ours. Epictetus wrote, "The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters, so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control." This is the heart of freedom, not freedom from the storm, but freedom within the storm. Consider the sinking of Zeno's ship. He could not command the sea to be calm, nor summon his lost wealth back from the depths. But he could control what that loss meant. He could choose despair, or he could choose rebirth. And in choosing rebirth, he founded a philosophy that would outlast empires. The same principle guided Marcus Aurelius as he faced wars and plagues. He did not control Rome's fate, but he mastered his mind. Their lives remind us that true power lies not in ruling the external world, but in ruling ourselves. And what about us? We too stand in storms, though of a different kind. The job interview where the decision is not ours. The message left unread. The algorithm that buries our work. These are not in our control. But how we show up, prepared, resilient, faithful to our effort, that is in our control. If you fail an exam, you cannot control the grade, but you can control your next study session. If your business faces crisis, you cannot control the market, but you can control your persistence. The Stoic path is not about denial, it is about clarity. When we stop fighting battles that are not ours to win, we suddenly have energy to conquer the ones that are. The second principle of Stoicism is known as voluntary discomfort. At first, it sounds strange. Why would anyone choose hardship? Yet the Stoics understood that comfort can make us fragile, while struggle makes us unshakable. By practicing discomfort willingly, we train ourselves for life's unexpected storms. Cold showers, simple meals, sleeping on the floor. These small acts of discipline prepare us for moments we never saw coming. Seneca once wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" When we choose discomfort, fear loses its grip. We realize we can endure more than we ever imagined. Think of the soldier who trains with heavy armor so that the real battle feels lighter. Musonius Rufus, teacher of Epictetus, urged his students to eat little, walk long distances, and live simply. Epictetus himself, born a slave, grew up knowing pain and limitation. Yet through voluntary hardship, he discovered freedom, the kind that no master could take away. History shows us that those who train for storms do not break when storms arrive. And what about us today? Our lives are flooded with convenience, endless entertainment, food at our fingertips, comfort at every corner. But comfort without discipline leaves us weak. What happens when the job is lost, the relationship ends, the illness strikes? Voluntary discomfort is our secret training ground. Skip the luxury meal and eat plainly, so that when scarcity comes, you are not afraid. Walk in the rain without an umbrella, so that when life soaks you in sorrow, you still stand tall. Sleep without your soft mattress, so that you remember, you are stronger than you think. The Stoics remind us, discomfort is not the enemy. It is the forge that tempers the soul. The third principle of Stoicism is the mastery of perspective. Events by themselves are neutral. What matters is the story we tell ourselves about them. Rain is neither good nor bad, but to the farmer it is a blessing. To the traveler it is an inconvenience. Pain can be a punishment, or it can be training. Perspective is not what happens to us, but how we choose to see it. And in that choice lies our freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you see only loss, you will live in despair. But if you learn to see challenge as opportunity, pain as teacher, every trial becomes a stepping stone." Nelson Mandela, after 27 years in prison, could have walked out filled with rage. He had every reason to see himself as a victim of injustice. But instead, he chose another perspective. He saw prison as preparation, solitude as a teacher, and suffering as the soil from which forgiveness could grow. And with that shift, he transformed not just his life, but the destiny of a nation. The Stoics would call this the ultimate act of strength, the reframing of tragedy into triumph. And what about us? Perspective is the lens we carry into daily life. Missed promotion? Perhaps it is a hidden opportunity to sharpen your craft. Heartbreak? Perhaps it is a lesson in self-worth and resilience. Failure? Perhaps it is the soil of future success. When traffic delays us, when the algorithm ignores us, when people misunderstand us, these moments can destroy us, or they can strengthen us, depending on how we see them. The Stoic practice is to pause, breathe, and ask, what else could this mean? Perspective does not change the storm, but it changes how we sail through it. And sometimes, that change is enough to turn defeat into victory. The fourth principle of Stoicism is self-discipline. The Stoics believe that the true enemy is not the world outside, but the chaos within. Desire, anger, greed, if left unchecked, make us slaves. But when we govern ourselves, we become free. Discipline is not punishment, it is alignment. It is choosing what is essential, resisting what is harmful, and mastering the impulses that seek to master us. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom does not come from wealth or status, but from the strength to command your own thoughts and actions. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by luxury, power, and endless temptations. He could have drowned in excess, but instead he lived modestly, writing to himself every night, reminding, correcting, disciplining. Or take Cato the Younger, who walked barefoot in winter to train his will, refusing the easy path even as others mocked him. Their lives show us that discipline is not deprivation, it is preparation. It sharpens the will so that when fate tests us, we are not broken. And for us today, discipline means resisting the scroll of endless distraction, choosing work over procrastination, presence over chaos. It means saying no to what weakens us and yes to what strengthens us. Wake up early, even when comfort whispers otherwise. Train your body, even when laziness pulls at your mind. Speak truth, even when silence would be easier. Self-discipline is the architect of freedom. Without it, we are tossed by every impulse. With it, we stand undefeated, no matter what life demands. The fifth principle of Stoicism is Amor Fati, the love of fate. It is not just enduring what happens, but embracing it as if you had chosen it. To the Stoics, fate is not the enemy. Fate is the teacher. Every obstacle, every sorrow, every delay, these are not interruptions to your path. They are the path. To resist is to suffer twice. To accept is to transform. To love fate is to become undefeatable. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is Amor Fati, not just surviving the fire, but becoming the fire itself, turning tragedy into strength, loss into light. Think of Zeno again, shipwrecked and ruined. Another man might have cursed the sea, but Zeno later said, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck." His greatest loss became his greatest gift. Or recall Viktor Frankl, imprisoned in concentration camps, who lost everything but discovered meaning in suffering itself. He did not merely endure fate, he embraced it, and in doing so, gave the world a new way to live. Their lives reveal a secret. Fate may strike, but it cannot defeat the one who loves it. And what about us? Amor Fati means learning to say yes, even to hardship. The job you didn't get, the path is redirecting you. The illness, the body's reminder of life's fragility. The heartbreak, proof that you can still love deeply. Instead of asking, "Why me?" the Stoic asks, "For what purpose?" Every setback becomes raw material for strength, wisdom, compassion. Imagine facing life this way, not as a victim of chance, but as a partner of fate. That is the spirit of Amor Fati. That is how you turn pain into power. The sixth principle of Stoicism is the practice of its four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. These are not abstract ideals, but practical tools, anchors for a steady life. Wisdom teaches us to discern what is in our control. Courage drives us to act, even when fear whispers. Temperance reminds us to balance desire and restraint. And justice calls us to live not only for ourselves, but for the good of all. Together, they form the pillars of an undefeatable life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." With these words, he distilled wisdom, temperance, and justice into daily practice. And when paired with courage, they form a shield that no storm can break. Consider the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He commanded legions, ruled millions, and faced wars and plagues. Yet in his meditations, he wrote not of conquest, but of character. Or think of Cato, who stood alone in the Senate, refusing corruption though it cost him dearly. Or Seneca, reminding his students that wealth without justice is no wealth at all. Each lived by these virtues, not perfectly, but persistently. They remind us that greatness is not measured by power, but by integrity. And for us, the four virtues are not relics. They are blueprints. Wisdom, when facing a choice, pause and ask, what truly matters here? Courage, speak the truth, even when silence is safer. Temperance, resist the endless craving for more and choose enough. Justice, treat others not as obstacles, but as fellow travelers. Imagine a world where each of us practiced even one of these virtues more consistently. Imagine yourself standing on these four pillars, steady, grounded, unshakable. This is how we build a fortress within. The seventh principle of Stoicism is the recognition of true value. External things, wealth, status, possessions, are unstable. They can vanish in a moment, just as Zeno's fortune was lost at sea. Internal things, character, virtue, integrity, are untouchable. The Stoics remind us, do not anchor your happiness to what fortune can give or take. Anchor it to what no storm can reach, the strength of your own soul. Seneca wrote, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When our desires shrink, our freedom expands. The richest man is not the one who owns the most, but the one who needs the least. Think of Epictetus, born a slave, owning almost nothing. Yet he said he was freer than many emperors, because his value was not chained to possessions, but rooted in wisdom and virtue. Or Marcus Aurelius, ruler of Rome, who lived more simply than many soldiers, writing that external riches are fleeting, but inner virtue endures. Their lives prove that value is not measured by gold or power, but by the strength of character. And what about us? We live in a world drowning in advertisements telling us happiness is just one purchase away. The car, the phone, the house, the illusion of value. But the Stoics challenge us to ask, who will I be without these things? Your job title can vanish. Your bank account can drain. Your possessions can break. But no one can steal your integrity, your resilience, your wisdom. Start today by practicing detachment. Find joy in simplicity, gratitude in the little, strength in who you are, not in what you own. For when value comes from within, you are truly undefeatable. We have walked with Zeno through shipwreck, with Epictetus through slavery, with Seneca through temptation, with Marcus Aurelius through empire. And from each, we have drawn 7 principles: the dichotomy of control, voluntary discomfort, perspective, self-discipline, Amor Fati, the 4 virtues, and the dichotomy of value. Together, these lessons remind us that storms will come, but they need not sink us. For the true fortress is not built of stone, but of character. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to sail. You cannot silence the storm, but you can decide how to stand within it. The world will test you with loss, rejection, fear, and uncertainty. But each trial is also a teacher, each hardship an invitation to grow stronger. Undefeatable does not mean unbroken. It means rising again, wiser, calmer, more steadfast every single time. So here is your challenge. This week, practice 1 Stoic exercise. Spend a night sleeping on the floor. Take a cold shower. Write down 3 things you cannot control and let them go. And then write 3 things you can control and act on them. Do this, and you will feel the power of Stoicism not as theory, but as living truth. Everything has an end, but wisdom, courage, and virtue are eternal. And if you carry them within you, then no storm, no loss, no darkness can ever defeat you. This is the way of the Stoic. This is how you become undefeatable. Thank you for watching, and remember, here at Stoic Miracles, strength is not found in what you conquer outside, but in what you master within.